Hi guys, so a lot of people always ask me, do I have any plans to modify or to upgrade my E39? Well, today I have to confess I finally succumbed to temptation and I gave it an M Sport conversion. Okay guys, so here's the E39. I'm going to send this in for service soon. This car was last serviced 6 months ago. I have since clocked 4,000 kilometers. So in mileage wise, it's still good, but I try to make it a point to send my cars in for service and inspection every 6 months or so. So there are a couple of things I do want to address with this upcoming service. Now, one thing you notice is that my front end for a non-M Sport car sits rather low, and this has been the case ever since I had the 4 absorbers rebuilt by Rival Auto a couple of years back shortly after purchasing the car. I'm happy to report that over the last 2 years the rebuild has seemed to hold up well. Although I'm not that big a fan of this lowered look, to be honest. I much prefer my car to have a more balanced appearance. And the fact that recently I've been hearing slight knocking noises from the front end after when I go over rough terrain. So definitely I'm going to give the suspension system another overhaul again. Though last month when I sent the car into my mechanic to have the car inspected, there were no leaks in the absorbers. So the rebuild has held over the last 2 years, and that to me is already beyond my expectation. I wasn't expecting the rebuild to hold more than 1.5 2 years. So for it to have lasted this long, to me it's already very, very good. So definitely I'm looking to replace the absorbers with this service, and I'm going to show you what I got. So remember last month I went to purchase some parts, right, when I had the Countryman, and here they are. I've got a set of 4 spring and absorbers. Okay, these were taken from a Japan spec 525i M Sport. Now, why am I buying used absorbers even though I always recommend people it's best to buy new? The reason being is because I want these M Sport springs. Now, with the E39, right, the difference between the regular car versus the M Sport car, all right, in terms of the suspension setup, the absorbers are different, the bump stops are different, the springs are different, the anti-roll bars are different. So I'm still looking for the anti-roll bars, but here at least I've got the 4 spring and absorbers. The ultimate objective really is to get these springs, and these absorbers, once they wear out, I'll change a set of new ones. I will of course also replace the bump stops with new bump stops, okay, to give it a better ride. Really looking forward to experience this car after the M Sport suspension conversion. So the other thing that I need to address, a few days ago when I refueled the car, I always refuel the car to full tank. I noticed that the fuel gauge couldn't climb past the 3/4 mark, and when I reached home I detected petrol smell. Then at night when I peeked under the car, I noticed petrol stains on this control arm here, and also there were petrol smells. Since then I have not driven the car much. Okay, I'm just looking to see when site's ready to take this car in, and I'm going to send this car over to him, have him check the car, then one shot change the 4 absorbers, address the fuel leak issue, and also inspect what other fluids, wear and tear items that need to be looked at. Meanwhile, this car has been parked at this spot for the last few days, so always a good idea to come in and see if there are any leaks. Nope, it's all good. These are all watermarks. All right, this is a watermark caught under the tire. It was raining these few days, so even though this is a shaded porch, water still comes in during heavy rain, and some of them would have been caught under tires, but no oil stains underneath here, so all is good. Now just wait for its turn to go in for its checkup. Hey guys, so here I am at the workshop, at Site's workshop, and well, they're in the process of taking out the existing shocks and absorbers, and these are the ones that I bought, ready to go in. Of course, I'm going to swap in new bump stops. All right, so you can see here, these ones, the bump stops, these are the bump stops. They are gone already. They need to be refreshed. So I'm going to already ordered new M Sport grade bump stops. Now here is the existing spring and damper. All right, I had suspected that the bump stops were going to were probably worn, but it turns out that they are actually still in decent condition. So there are no leaks here in this absorber. I guess if after installing a new M Sport spring and dampers, if I'm happy with the performance and if the condition of these are good, this is my front left. All right, and I think I'm gonna ask site advice to see if these can be sold on to another user. All right, maybe you can continue to serve someone else in their car for a bit more time. So here's the E39 with the new new used M Sport suspension setup. All right, and you notice from compared to what it was like before, the front end no longer sits as low. The rear end is now dropped slightly. The reason why is because with the previous setup, okay, my rear was still at standard right height, whereas the front was dropped to I think even below standard. So the car had a slightly front heavy look to it. But now with the new M Sport with the new M Sport absorbers and springs, the car is now better balanced in its appearance, front rear better balanced, but lowered overall. Okay, so you can see the front and the rear wheel gap is now more balanced. The front now sits a bit higher, whereas the back now sits a bit lower. And I have to say, I'm really liking this new, more balanced stance of the car. All right, from many different angles, especially from when I walk to the car from the front. All right, I particularly appreciate seeing the front end of the car a bit more upright than it was before. So really liking this. Okay, and to recap what was done to the car, so I got a set of used absorbers from a reputable used parts supplier, Lajif. So he gave me 4 absorbers plus spring plus bump stops. Okay, so all these items are usually sold separately one, all right, but when you take them off a half cut, they all come in one piece. All right, and what we found, and site checked the car, he saw that they are original M Sport barang, so I was not cheated. I got legit original stuff. But the front 2 absorbers, the bump stops were short. So what we did was the rear just went in, the front end we refreshed it with new bump stops, new original M Sport bump stops. The bump stops, okay, for M Sport and non-M Sport cars are different. So you got new original bump stops for the front, 75 ringgit per piece, okay, to complete the M Sport suspension conversion. Now there's still one more missing piece, or rather 2 more missing pieces rather, would be the anti-roll bars, the front and rear anti-roll bars. The M Sport cars have thicker anti-roll bars, and I was unable to source the anti-roll bars before the car went into the workshop. So the car is still running on standard anti-roll bars, but I've got a friend of mine who dug out a pair of matching anti-roll bars together with all the mountings and all that. He's offered them to me, and well, I guess they'll have to go in at the next what you call it, next workshop visit. He's the same friend actually who sold me these enlarged 530i brakes that I now installed in the front end of the car. Okay, so yeah, overall I think so far overall I'm very happy with the way the car looks. So one more thing that was fixed, all right, now whenever you do a rear suspension work on the E39, it involves removing the seats, the C-pillars, the two C-pillars, and the rear parcel shelf. So the last time when I sent this car for a rebuild, for the absorber rebuild at Riber, one thing that they did not do very well were reinstalling the parts, and it also resulted in the rear sunshade, the powered rear sunshade, being jammed. Okay, something was hindering the movement of the sunshade. I could not use the sunshade, and so that day when I sent this car into site, okay, I forgot to tell him about this issue, you know. But surprisingly, when he put everything back together, the sunshade works. All right, so really happy with that. And this one, site really earned his money. Now, originally I wasn't going to send the car in to do the absorber job that quickly, because, you know, I wanted to source for the anti-roll bars as well. But my visit to the workshop was brought forward because the other day when I refueled the car, it was leaking petrol. All right, and so I wanted to bring the car into the workshop to have the source of that petrol leak checked. And while it was there, I might as well pasang the absorbers in, because they were taking up space, and it also means that I can take out the old absorbers that were previously on the car, and I could sell it. So we've traced the source of the petrol leak to the seal of the fuel float, which need to be replaced. All right, but because the problem was, but we weren't able to do that, because at that time when I sent the car in, the fuel tank was too full. So site's advice was that the tank need to be at most half tank full before I replace the fuel float. But until I have time for my next visit, it means that I will have to refrain from filling this car to the brim. I have to refuel, like, you know, maybe with 10 or 15 liters to spare. So in that case, I'm rather thankful that the E39 has these hidden menus. Go to test number 6. All right, and read out the exact amount of fuel left in the tank. So for some of you who are watching this the first time, this is the reading of the left half of the fuel tank. This is the right half of the fuel tank in terms of in liters, and this is the total volume of fuel in the tank. So I guess the E39 has a 70 liter tank. So the next time I refuel, I have to check this reading, all right, and set the exact amount to fuel up, okay, so that it doesn't go all the way to the top. So anyways, this is the old set of absorbers that were removed from the car. All right, old spring, damper, and bump stop together in one assembly. So from what I can see here, the bump stops, all 4 bump stops are still in good condition. Springs, of course, they are continuously reusable. The rear absorbers are still actually usable. All right, the only question is the front. The front end, previously I was not happy with it because they were sagging too much. I suspect the front two requires a reservice, okay, or maybe a replacement to all new absorbers. So by selling this, I would then be able to raise a bit of extra money to offset the cost of this upgrade.
God that the brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And for quit it, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was handling my business. Now I got the ball like Harry Potter playing Quidditch. And my business is humongous, you would think that happens in there. Damn man, I'm all that, yeah, I'm all that. Working for that whip, yeah, that what you call that. I'ma blow up in the summer, have him yelling fall back.
So it's been a few days since I got the car back, and thus far I have to say I'm very satisfied with the performance of these new shocks. So immediate impression was that this is a firmer set of dampers. All right, the overall setting, the car now rides firmer and tighter than before. So the trade-off is when you travel on undulating surfaces, all right, those long wave undulating surfaces, you feel more of the of the road coming into the cabin. All right, when let's say like you travel over the cat's eyes or a pebble on the road, you feel more of it coming into you. But this one, I have to say, I feel more confident going over speed bumps with this than the previous set. With the previous set, right, I was towards the end, I felt that the front absorbers seem to be losing pressure. So as a result, if I were to carry even modest speed over a bump, I would end up hitting the bump stop. Okay, it was not a very pleasant sensation, and that was the main motivator why I decided to change the absorbers. But with this one, it's better. So yes, it feels firmer, but at the same time, it feels like, you know, when I go over a bump, the absorbers actually have the pressure in them to hold the car up. Okay, so it means that when I see a speed bump, I no longer need to slow this car down to a crawl the way I previously had to. So handling wise, there has been improvement too. Okay, because of the firmer suspension, body roll is also reduced. It gives me more confidence to power the car through a bend. And yeah, and all I have to say is that it feels like a very, very nice setup. It gives me a new dimension in the way I enjoy driving this car. Okay guys, so right now I'm driving the Maxus T60 pickup truck. I've just delivered my 4 old absorbers to a new buyer. Okay, and just some parting remarks on the outgoing set. So to recap, I bought my car in 2018, and at that time we found that the 4 absorbers were leaking. All right, and at that time I opted to have those absorbers rebuilt by Rival Auto. Okay, the reasoning at that time was that 1, it's cheaper than replacing them brand new. 2, for environmental concerns, all right, it's nice that, you know, that we are not chucking away parts, you know, to go to waste. And thirdly, it's nice that every once in a while you pay for workmanship as opposed to just putting new things. So I would like to think that my decision to have my suspension rebuilt at that time benefited a few of our local boys, you know, with some paid work. Right now, how has the suspension held up? So that rebuild has lasted me 2 years, 18,000 kilometers of usage. Overall, I would say it has earned its money. Okay, certainly over the last 2 years, I think the handling of the car has been great. The ride has been sufficiently plush, but it's just that the last 6 months I noticed that the fronts have started to go a little soft. But even then, as we took the 4 absorbers out, we noticed that there were no leaks. Okay, so it means that they could continue to be used for a bit more time. But it's just that I've also been itching to upgrade the underpinnings of the car to M Sport specifications. So I decided, hey, you know, just go with it. So the important lesson learned here actually is that sometimes when we maintain or upgrade bits and parts in our cars, it's good to remember that the existing parts that we swap out may actually be worth something to someone else, you know, and it could go on and serve in someone else's car for a bit more time. Okay, so and you know, it's a win-win, because you may be able to help someone keep their car going for a bit longer at a lower cost, and for yourself, you get to use that money to partially offset your own maintenance or upgrade costs. Okay, so yeah, overall quite happy with the outcome of things thus far, and And yeah, so there is no full exterior M Sport conversion as indicated in the cover video I made for in the cover picture I made for this video. So now what I have with my car is we still have the original Uncle Spec exterior, but sitting on top of M Sport underpinnings. So lastly, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Once again, do us a favor, if you like our content, help us with, you know, hit the subscribe button, not just of me but also of all my other teammates, Bobby, Bing, Chris V, Tana, Fadil, Nas, all of them, their channels, link is in the description section below. Join us also at Evo Club, where we have our extended warranty, our Evo Club insurance, inspection centers, trusted workshops. The whole works is there to help you guys, well, to be a companion in your journey of car ownership. Okay, so once again, thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care now.